Look at this. Look at this. See that? Grabbing, physically grabbing her, applying pressure, pushing her. Look at Brittany Griner.
New footage has emerged that shows exactly how Caitlin Clark, the Golden Goose, the ratings magnet, the woman who single-handedly saved women's basketball from obscurity, got injured. And let me tell you, what we're seeing isn't just disappointing, it's downright disgusting. The WNBA has a bullying problem, and their biggest star just became the latest victim of the league that apparently doesn't know how to protect its own meal ticket.
Finally, a player that's worth paying the money for. Caitlin Clark comes along. What do, WNBA? You beat her up. You treat her like crap. You treat her like she's dog doo-doo, dude. I never seen this in any sport, bro. Not even Jordan.
Here's the tea that nobody in the league office wants you to sip. Caitlin Clark didn't just wake up with a quad strain. She didn't trip over her shoelaces or pull something during a casual warm-up. No, folks. She was systematically targeted, foul grabbed, pushed, and beaten down by players who seem more interested in playing WW than basketball. And the referees, they watched it happen like they were getting paid to look the other way.
Caitlin Clark has been moving in slow motion. As good as she's been moving in slow motion. And it is, it makes sense. It genuinely makes sense. All of this stuff. And you've got Scott Agnes, a reporter, saying that the injury has been bothering her since training camp. So she's been playing. So essentially, she was massaging the area and wearing a pad during the Iowa preseason game. They were saying lower leg injury for some reason. Minor quad strains need 2 to 4 weeks of rest, and they can nag you.
On May 26, 2025, the Indiana Fever announced that their superstar guard would miss at least 2 weeks with a left quadricep strain, 2 weeks minimum. That's 4 games at the absolute best case scenario. But anyone with half a brain knows muscle injuries don't follow convenient timelines. This could stretch to 3 weeks, a month, or longer.
People are noting that a grade 1 quad strain is 1 to 2 weeks, a grade 2 quad strain is 3 to 6 weeks, and grade 3s would need surgery. This is not like the end of the world of injuries at all. I think what is so dark about this is that Caitlin Clark will definitely be missing a lot of basketball in a short WNBA season. Obviously, the best thing to do is to rest her so that when she does come back, she is fully healed and the injury can't get worse. Though it is hard to measure when these types of injuries are better, I will say having a quadricep injury is much better than having like a calf injury or a hamstring injury. And I have to say that I did notice in the Liberty game, Caitlin Clark's shots were all very short. So it was showing that she wasn't like getting off and she was having a difficult time making those threes, and a lot of explosiveness from those 3-point shots does come from your legs. Her shot was just so obviously off, and for it to be short, it kind of makes a little sense.
And while the Fever are trying to downplay this as just another injury, the new footage tells a completely different story. The smoking gun footage shows Clark during the Atlanta Dream game, that game where fans were screaming, "You're in Atlanta." Like it was some kind of home field advantage for assault. In this footage, we see player after player making contact with Clark in ways that would make a linebacker blush, grabbing, pushing, applying pressure, physical contact. That has absolutely nothing to do with basketball and everything to do with intimidation. This wasn't basketball. This was systematic targeting of the league's biggest star, and it was allowed to happen in broad daylight.
Look at this. Look at how physical they are. Now, granted, Caitlin Clark has been in the weight room this season, but I'm telling you right now, there's only so much your body can take, man. Look at how close Ryan Howard playing her. This is crazy. And this is just one video. I got another one I want to show you guys as well.
But here's where it gets really interesting. Multiple sources, including fans who attended games, have been reporting that Clark was using heating pads on her quad during games for weeks, possibly since preseason 10. Think about that for a second. The woman who hadn't missed a game since 2017, who played 185 consecutive games between Iowa and the WNBA, was literally playing through an injury that required heating pads just to function. And instead of protecting her, instead of calling the obvious fouls, The referees let her get mauled night after night until her body finally said enough.
The commissioner's the worst commissioner in sports. She is horrible. She wants rivalries, this WWE style. Like, nobody wants to see that, Kathy. You're a horrible commissioner. You know what? Have some dignity and just resign today. You ruined this thing. You ruined a great thing. This could be the first time you don't need the NBA assistants to go in the green, but you're going to go in the red this year because you're an idiot. You're stupid, and the fans don't like this shit. We want to see quality basketball. Nobody's asking for Keelan Clark to get a handout. We just want to see some fair refereeing, because these referees from Temu and Wayfair, they're garbage, bro. I've seen better refereeing at a Pee Wee game, bro, at AAU. They suck. And then on top of that, the players, they're just not likable, man. They're not. That's the problem with the league. They're not likable. Caitlin Clark's.
If you are enjoying, please subscribe. The timing of this injury couldn't be worse for the WNBA, and frankly, they deserve every bit of the financial pain that's coming their way. Let's talk numbers, because numbers don't lie, like WNBA officials apparently do in 2024 out of 24 WNBA broadcasts that drew at least 1 million viewers. 21 featured Caitlin Clark, 21 out of 24 games with Clark average 19 million viewers, while games without her average a pathetic 394,000. That's not just a difference, that's a difference between a thriving league and a struggling afterthought. Already we're seeing the immediate impact. Ticket prices for the highly anticipated rematch between Clark and Angel Reese have plummeted by 42%, dropping from an average of $137 to $80 following the injury announcement. That's not just a price drop, that's a demand crash, and it's happening in real time. The market is literally telling the WNBA what they refuse to acknowledge. Clark is the draw. Clark is the reason people care. And without Clark, interest evaporates faster than Angel Reese's playoff hopes.
Be here with you guys today. If there wasn't any worry going on in the WNBA executive offices, if there was no worry, oh, people aren't going to turn off, oh, people are still going to show up, if that was the thought that they were having up there in WNBA La La Land, well, now might be the time to hit the panic button. 48 hours after news hits that Caitlin Clark is injured and she'll be missing 2 weeks, the market has responded, and the market has told the WNBA, we don't want this. We want her, but we don't want this. What am I talking about? Indiana Fever ticket prices to games over the next 2 weeks have dropped 42% since Caitlin Clark's injury announcement. An average ticket price of $137 all the way down to $80.
Stephen A. Smith hit the nail on the head when he said he's really interested in seeing how the ratings are going to look without her over the next 2 weeks, because if those ratings crater, and they will, is going to expose just how dependent this league is on one player, the same player. They fail to protect. Smith continued, if there's a precipitous drop-off, then everybody needs to stand down and recognize the fact that the speculation or the assertions and assumptions about her being the golden goose is validated. The most recent Clark versus Ree matchup drew 7 million viewers, making it the most watched WNBA regular season game in 25 years. The game peaked at 1 million viewers. Those are Super Bowl level numbers for the WNBA, numbers they haven't seen since the league's early days on NBC. And now they're about to find out what happens when you take away the only player people actually tune in to watch.
How big of a blow is this to the W?
We'll find out. We don't know yet, but I'm going to be really, really interested in seeing, Molly, what kind of effect this has on the WNBA's ratings. Because if for some reason there is a precipitous drop-off, then everybody needs to stand down and recognize the fact that the speculation or the assertions and assumptions about her being the golden goose is validated.
But let's talk about the real crime here. The officiating coach, Stephanie White, called egregious and said the disrespect right now for our team has been pretty unbelievable. She pointed out a -31 free throw discrepancy in recent games, noting that we're not just chucking threes, we're attacking the rim. Translation: Clark is getting hammered every time she drives to the basket, and the refs are swallowing their whistles. The final play against the New York Liberty was the perfect microcosm of this problem. Natasha Cloud made clear contact with Clark on the game's final possession, contact that would have been called for any other star player in any other league, and the referees just watched Clark get mugged with the game on the line. Clark immediately looked at the officials, started shouting when she realized no call was coming, and even her teammates approached the refs to protest, but nothing radio silence from officials who apparently think basketball is supposed to be a contact sport. This isn't just bad officiating, this is selective officiating. This is a pattern of allowing Clark to get beaten up while other players get protection. And now that pattern has led to an injury that's going to cost the league millions in viewership attendance and credibility. The footage from multiple games shows Clark being grabbed, pushed, and physically dominated in ways that go far beyond normal basketball contact players are, targeting her specifically knowing they can get away with it because the referees have established a pattern of non-calls. When it comes to Clark, it's like they've given everyone a green light to take liberties with the league's biggest star, and Clark's quad strain is the inevitable result.
But if anything, this should be a lesson to the league and a lesson to the officiating, because the amount of contact that is allowed without a foul call and the amount of physicality that Caitlin Clark has to battle through being double teamed and triple teamed, and honestly, it's mostly just not being called for these fouls, needs to be assessed. Caitlin Clark is the league's star player, whether you like it or not. It shows in the bottom line. It shows in the revenue. It shows in the viewership numbers. Every which way you turn, it shows. And as the league star player, she should not be bullied around or ragdolled, just pushed around like she is. There is an undeniable disparity in the officiating. I mean, think about the Kobe whistle in the NBA. No one touched him without an issue.
Here's what makes this even more infuriating. Clark had been playing through this injury for who knows how long. The heating pad footage proves she was dealing with quad issues while still suiting up and performing at an elite level. She was averaging 19. 0 points, and leading the league with 9. 3 assists per game in her first 4 games of the 2025 season, all while playing on one good leg. That's not just toughness, that's superhuman dedication to a league that clearly doesn't appreciate what it has. And let's be honest about what Clark brings to this league beyond just her basketball skills. She's created a phenomenon that transcends sports. Her preseason game against Brazil at Iowa drew one. 3 million viewers, numbers that only 2 NBA games on ESPN have matched since 2010, both featuring LeBron James. A preseason game against Brazil, those are the kinds of numbers that change leagues, create new fans, and open corporate checkbooks. ESPN made the unprecedented decision to broadcast a WNBA preseason game for the first time ever, specifically because it featured Clark. 41 of the Fever's 44 regular season games are being nationally televised this year. That's not normal. That's the Caitlin Clark effect in action. And now, for at least the next 2 weeks, possibly longer, all that momentum is going to hit a brick wall.
There is literally footage of Caitlin Clark putting heat compression towards her leg. There is literally footage of her putting heat packs on her leg. There is new footage of her heating up her quad when she's playing. And by the way, people have been at games. I've been getting, if you look like my comment section, I don't read my comment section that much, I'm going to be honest, but some of the times where I have read my comment section, people have genuinely been like, I'm at the game. Caitlin Clark does not look right on the sideline. Caitlin Clark is coming out. She has heat compression on her quad. She was playing injured.
The economic impact of Clark's absence extends far beyond television ratings. Visit Indy reported a 501% surge in visits to their Fever-specific webpage after Clark was drafted. Hotel bookings in Indianapolis correlate directly with Fever home games. A $75 million practice facility is under construction specifically because of the interest Clark generates. This isn't just about basketball. This is about an entire economic ecosystem that revolves around one player. Now that ecosystem is about to experience a drought, and it's entirely preventable. All the WNBA had to do was protect their investment. All they had to do was instruct their referees to call fouls when players grabbed, pushed, and targeted their biggest star. All they had to do was treat Clark with the same respect they show other marquee players. Instead, they let her get mauled until her body broke down. The upcoming schedule makes this injury even more devastating. The Fever were supposed to face the Chicago Sky, the rematch. Everyone wanted to see the rivalry that's driving ratings through the roof. Instead, fans get Angel Reed trying to boost her brand against role players, while the real draw recovers from injuries that could have been prevented.
Projections, we're looking at $875 million could easily eclipse $1 billion on her economic impact. Caitlin Clark entering the league last year was responsible for 26.5% of all of their economic activity. So revenue from merchandise, which again, with the CBA as it is currently, she doesn't see a dime of any of that. TV, and then ticket sales, obviously, which again, they don't get anything from that. We know that wherever she goes, she's selling out arenas. The ticket prices skyrocket. Like even trying to get tickets to cover Hawkeye Arena when they played the Brazilian national team at her old school was just insane prices. If she's going on the road, wherever she's going, ticket sales jumped by 140%. Average is $312. Like that's crazy.
Clark's injury also impacts the MVP race, where she had been the betting favorite before the announcement. Her odds immediately dropped from even money to plus 210 at FanDuel and plus 150 at DraftKings. That's not just a change in betting lines. That's the market recognizing that Clark's absence significantly damages her chances at individual recognition, no matter how well she was playing what's. Particularly glaring is that this injury streak ends Clark's incredible durability. She hadn't missed a game since she was a sophomore in high school in 2017. Think about that, 8 years of basketball without missing a single game from high school through college to the pros. That's not just remarkable, it's unprecedented in modern basketball. And it ended because the WNBA couldn't be bothered to protect its most valuable player of the league. Now faces a critical test where they use Clark's absence as a wake-up call to address the officiating problems that led to this injury. Will they finally acknowledge that allowing players to target their biggest star is bad for business, or will they continue pretending that what happened to Clark is just part of the game?
I don't know. And what does that overall do to the WNBA? This is your time to shine, ladies. I mean, the ladies of the WNBA have whined and moaned that it's not about one person. Well, okay, for a couple weeks, right here in the middle of it, you get a chance to prove that it's not only about one person. I don't know that that's great for the WNBA. Maybe the WNBA gets a little lesson in the importance of Caitlin.
The irony is palpable. A league that desperately needs stars' attention and revenue allowed its biggest star to get injured through a combination of dirty play and incompetent officiating. Now, they're going to learn exactly what the WNBA looks like without Caitlin Clark, and it's not going to be pretty when Clark returns. And hopefully it's sooner rather than later. The WNBA better have figured out how to protect her. Because if this happens again, if they continue to allow their golden goose to get targeted and injured, they're going to find out just how quickly a basketball league can become irrelevant again. The footage is out there. The pattern is clear. The consequences are predictable. Now the question is whether the WNBA will learn from this completely avoidable disaster, or whether they'll continue to let their biggest star get bullied until there's nothing left to salvage. One thing's for certain: the next 2 weeks are going to be a harsh reality check for a league that forgot to protect its most precious asset.